Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Mukesh's Tech Space. This is part 3 of our AWS Lightsail for Beginners series. Today I'm going to show you how to install an SSH client, get it configured with the appropriate Lightsail credentials so that you can log into your server from an SSH client and terminal it and make some magic happen. We're also going to install a free SSL certificate using the Let's Encrypt service. So I'll show you how to do that. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so let's get right into it. As I mentioned in the video, we're going to install an SSH client on your Windows PC today, and we will use that to connect to your Lightsail instance that we created in the last video. If you're not aware what an SSH client is, it's basically a software that you install, and once you have it configured, it allows you to connect remotely to your server instance via a terminal window. And through that window, you can run commands, you can install applications, you can uninstall applications, view log files, upload and download files. So a variety of things you can do with it. You probably, if you're not familiar with the Linux or Unix operating system, then you will probably look to some tutorials or steps or any kind of knowledge base that kind of walks you through some of the things you can do. But it's basically logging into a computer and being able to do whatever you want with it once you're logged in. So there are obviously many different types of SSH client software for Windows and probably for Mac. I'm only going to show Windows, but if you're a Mac user, you can follow the same exact steps, except probably use the corresponding terminology or keystrokes or things like that. So unfortunately, I don't have the Mac to show you that. So this is all just Windows. I found a website that listed out a pretty good list of the best SSH clients, or at least the SSH client for Windows. Now they say it's a 10 best, and that's according to them, but it's a pretty good list, and we can look through this where they have listed out the free and open source options, and further down they have some paid options listed as well. Here's a paid option, MOBA Xterm, and then there's several other ones. The one that we're going to use today and that I have recently liked is Smart TTY. You can pick any of these, and the steps that we'll go through should be similar on any of them. So if some other application you find more convenient or works with your system better, you can try that from this list. But for the video, we're going to use Smart TTY. So go ahead and click on that, and you will hit the download button. Click on download, and one more last time. And that should begin the download and save it to your default downloads directory. Once it's done downloading, you can go ahead and open it and follow the installation steps. I already have it installed on this machine, but it's basically the installation is just like any other software. So once you have it installed, go ahead and open the software, Smart TTY, and it'll come to the screen. What you'll want to do is start a new SSH connection. And there are several fields here, but we're only going to need about 2 or 3 fields to fill out to connect to our server. Let's go to our Ubuntu Lightsail account. Once you've logged in, you should, if you followed our steps and still have the instance running, there should be an instance that's running called My Ubuntu Server that we created in the last video. Click on that, and you're going to need the public IP address. This is what you're going to connect to. So going back to our window, that's where you type in or put in the host name. And its name is Ubuntu. Right here, username. Now for the password, we really don't have a password. The way AWS Lightsail works is it uses private and public key pairs. And you need to download the private key pair that will allow you access to your server. So you would, on this page, you'll come down here and click on the account page. Download your private key pair, and it's specific to a region, and so if you have other regions, those would be listed out here. And once that is finished downloading, you'll download a file that ends with .pem. So now if you go back to the Smart TTY SSH, you should be able to come down here. Instead of a password, you pick Open SSH Key, override the default locations, click on the folder icon to open up a file browser window. Now this is not really an OpenSSH key, so what you want to come down here and do is click on all files, so it lists out everything, and you want to pick the one that you downloaded and select it, and that should be filled in here. If you want, you can give your connection an alias or friendly name so that you can recognize it if you have a lot of connections. So Ubuntu server, that's what we will call it. And then once you have this filled out, click on connect. So this window is probably unusual for SSH clients. I have not seen it in any other software as well, but Smart TTY, implied by the name, has a smart feature to it. And you can start the terminal with the smart features turned on, or just start with the regular terminal. I will just go with the regular terminal, but you can try that and see if you find it easier, or if you like it, you can use that. But I'm going to go ahead and start with the regular terminal. And once you click on that, it should bring you to a screen similar to this. It says, welcome to Ubuntu, manage this server, and last login, and your login prompt. So this is your command prompt or your terminal window into your server. You can do some common commands. If you're familiar with Linux, you will know these. If you're not, just follow along. If you type in ls, that's for listing out your files that in the directory you're in. If you do an ls space -al, that will list the files along with a variety of other attributes that you can see. We will now go into the folder or the directory where your apps are, where your applications that we created in the last video are running in. And now let's type in cd/srv. And if you ls inside srv, there's a users folder. You can go to users, and we should have our server pilot user. Go to server pilot. Now within here you'll have several directories, and you see there's the apps directory, log, run, and temp. I'll show you what the apps directory is and the log directory. Those are probably the mainly two that we'll interact with on a day-to-day basis anyways. So apps, if you ls list what's in here, the two applications or apps that we had deployed using Server Pilot last time, the MyWP site and the MySecondWP site. So this is your root folder. Inside here you'll have your public folder, which is where your website files are stored. And if you do an ls-al, and if you're familiar with WordPress, these files will be familiar to you. So here's where you can upload files, even download files, and perform any other actions you want for your website. So the next thing I want to show you as well is just to give you the window on Smart TTY. If you click on download a file, you can hit download a file and you can get the new remote file name. That lets you browse the folder structure on your server. And you can pick a file. Let's say if you want to pick, if you wanted to modify the htaccess locally, you can click on that. Your local directory, let's pick downloads, and you hit download. And that file was downloaded. So that's how you SSH into your server using SSH Client and have terminal access to your server. Now, the next thing that we wanted to do in the video was install an SSL certificate for your domain. So as you recall, the two domains that we installed, there was a www.inspired.us and www.to.inspired.us. So if you type that in, you'll see that that was our application, and it's not on a secure connection, not on a HTTPS connection. And if you even tried to type in HTTPS, you should get an error. So as you can see, it's errored out. So we'll go ahead and close that. And we don't need Server Pilot this instance. And we will go to networking, and the first thing to do is enable port 443. That is the port that the HTTPS protocol connects with. So you will want to come in here and click on the add another, and you can come down here and use HTTPS, and that turns on 443. Hit save. So once you have that, let me get the SSL commands. Okay, so once you have that set, you want to open a new tab on your browser, and you want to go to this page. This is a script that runs on your server, and it will install the Let's Encrypt certificate for your website on your Server Pilot account, a free or paid plan. So that's where we can, you'll have to do these commands. If you get on the paid plan, you might as well use their system to generate an SSL certificate, since that will be easier. So here's some instructions, and we're gonna follow these instructions. So SSH to, so first thing we need to do is SSH to our server, which we did earlier. That's why we have this window, and it says connection closed. So let's try reconnecting, and we're connected. So that's what we did right here. And then it says copy sple.sh to your user local bin folder. So what we need to do is run this command. So if you just go ahead and copy. So first we'll go ahead and act as root. So to install any software, you do have to upgrade your user privileges to root. So we will do that. Upgrade it to root. As you can see, there's root. Then we're going to paste that command that we copied. And if we do ls there after it's done, there's our sple.sh. Now we have to do the next command, which is making it an executable. So copy that, paste. Okay, and now we run this, and we'll follow the on-screen instructions. So to run sple.sh, you basically type in sple.sh. It says Let's Encrypt is not installed or found. Would you like to install it? So let's go ahead and hit yes. That should be a one-time action. Sounds like it may take a minute or two, but once it's finished, it's going to prompt you for your app name. So this is the name that we will pick from Server Pilot, MyWP site. So you copy that, or you can type it in. Might be better to type in MyWP site. And please enter the system user, the name for the app. So here it will be Server Pilot, and the domains that that you need an SSL certificate for as well. So www, like that. And then it says enter the email address used for urgent notices, lost key recovery, things like that. So it's probably good to enter your email address. Hit OK, or hit enter. Hit enter if we agree to the terms of service. Now I was looking through this, and I see that we have an issue. Let's see. This did not go right. So let me find out what the issue is, and I'll come back and explain to you what happened. All right, so it just took me a couple of minutes, but I'm back. I figured out what the issue was. Basically, I did not, in our last video when we had those DNS changes, I did not make a DNS record for the root domain, which is inspird.us, and I did not create that and pointed it to the IP address for our server. So I went ahead and did that. As you can see from the error message, it says that the server could not resolve to a domain name, no valid IP address found for inspird.us. So I found that in the log file, and I'll put this down here. In fact, it's in the GitHub page for Let's Encrypt script that says if things go wrong, check in this directory, find out what's going on, list all the SSL files, and then delete the one and restart again. So we're going to try to do that again. So we'll rerun it. Let's see. Okay. So we're just going to run that again. So your app name, YWP site, the system user, server pilot, and the domain name. So this time we'll just do this one. There we go. And this time, as you can see, everything restarted correctly, and no errors. So we should be good to go. What I think I need to do, well, I think it already restarted as well, service, and that reloaded. So now let's go ahead and try our site. As you can see, it's running on HTTP, and if I put HTTPS on it, it should also run on HTTPS. And you can see here that the valid certificate, you can look at this, that this is the domain, Let's Encrypt certificate, valid from February to May, and that's about 90 days. So we do need to renew the certificate every 90 days. And there's a command for that already provided. That's available right here. Schedule the auto renewal. And so we need to set up a cron tab essentially. So since this is our Linux version, we need this command. So let's go ahead and copy this. Go here. And you will do cron tab -E. Let's see, we'll do number 2, because once you hit cron tab -E, it will say no cron tab for root, using an empty one, and then it'll ask you to pick an editor that you want to edit the cron tab file in. This points out number 2 is the easiest, so we'll go ahead and select number 2, and then come down here to the end. And go ahead and, this is the command that we copied. We'll go ahead and paste that. And we will hit Control X. It says save the modified. Hit yes. Hit enter. And that should save the cron tab. And that's it. The certificate should be renewed every 90 days and you should be good to go for your certificate. So this is how easy it is. Thanks to this script. Shout out to LESAFF for creating this certificate, or this script that generates the certificate. If you have any issues, we went through some debugging, so you got to see, what kind of common errors you may run into, like we did today, and how to debug it. Hopefully you found this video helpful. This is my 3rd video, guys, so give me some feedback as to what I'm doing right, what I could improve, and hopefully these videos will get better and better as we move on to more and more series. Alright guys, I hope you liked this video and you found it useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel as well, and also click on that bell icon that will notify you every time I upload a video like this. We'll bring out more series in the web development and online website building tech space. So go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.